Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. Hubert here, and it's a really pleasure to have a really big black metal legend here with me, Necrobutcher from Mayhem. Hello, how are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. How does your everyday life look like right now when you're not on tour?
Wow. I'm just a regular guy. I just do the normal things everybody do, like wash your clothes, go to the store. Uh, so nothing special. Well, I do some exercising, and of course, I have my family. Um, and I have some hobbies.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm sorry to say, but I'm not living in a cage and drinking baby blood and sacrificing virgins and stuff like that.
Of course.
Just a little bit more regular, I guess.
Okay, your new record, Mayhem's new live album, Demonic Rites, is coming out on September 15th this year. Please tell me more about this live record and what can your fans expect about that?
Yes, I thought to myself that we sound pretty good live now. And I heard some recordings now and then on the road and after tours, which I thought was great. And so when the idea came from the management that he had recorded, had a lot of recordings from the last world tour that started in 1919, the Demon World Tour, that he wanted to release it as a live album. Also the set list, basically. And so he found some gigs from around the world, put them together, mixed it, sent it to us, the members. We thought it was great. And decided to release that as this, what you're looking at now, or what you're going to purchase, this Demonic Rites. There was a journalist that asked me about this album, that this would be like one of many live albums from Mayhem, and I knew what he was talking about. That it might seem like Mayhem released a lot of Mayhem live albums over the years, but that's not really true. Most of them are bootlegs.
Yeah.
Hailing from the 80s and the beginning of the 90s. We haven't released any live albums since European Legions came out. That was a Grand Declaration of War in 2000.
Sure.
I think maybe it came out after the touring, maybe 2002 or 2001, something like that. So that's way over 20 years ago.
Mm.
And also with a different vocalist. So, like I said, we have been touring for years now, and of course, the setlist is getting better and better, and it was about it was a great thing to kind of document it, how great it sounds now. Like what it culminated after all these years of touring and playing these songs. How they in the end came out, after all these years, I mean, they're not been different. Some of them is slightly, little bit different from the recording, but I would say that's a normal adjustment to the sound, to the track. That would be probably how it would be sounded on on the album if we had several years rehearsing the track.
Mm-hmm.
If anything changed, it's because it feels natural. We don't change anything if it doesn't. It's always doing to improve it. And it's nothing like it. The riffs hasn't been changed out anything. Maybe some small tempo issues or some small details. So basically, that's it. We are happy about how we sound now, and it's great that it's been recorded, and then it stands for forever. This is how great Mayhem sounds like in 2023.
Sure. Are you personally a fan of these things like official live albums and bootlegs? You maybe collect some.
Well, the bootlegs is a double-edged sword, because obviously somebody else is taking the revenue, so we don't see any money from it, and of course it's like competing with ourselves. So in that case, it's not good. But when I was younger, before I started to get bootleg myself, I also collected some bootlegs. I must admit that. And so from the fans' point of view, it could be some value into it. If the band choose not to release it, then it leaks out anyway. And if it's good enough, and another thing, which is a part of it, is also like some bootlegs are tribute to the band. It's a fan who has some kind of tape or something live, or some rehearsal thing, or sound check, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That the fan thinks it's so great that he wants to share it with other people, like it, and that and if they do a good job with the cover, the artwork, and put some effort to it, and like sometimes the picture disc with maybe a nice booklet to it and shit like that, if they put all the money into the product, then they basically sell it like a non-profit thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like a good let's say, at least for the like for the promotion of the band, in a way that, spread the word, spread the logo, spread the album, spread the artwork. And, and also magazines picking up on it and writing about it, and all the people talking about radio stations, so for the promotional part of it, they have some value. But all the other parts of it is, of course, the negative part. And the worst part is when you release an album and somebody just copies it and sells it like a fake product. And that's a big thing in the not so developing countries. Like, I don't want to say any names now, but we all know who they are. So it's hard to do anything about it. But it is what it is. It's the music industry. Anyways, what happened with the downloading, the streaming of the music? Suddenly, there was no more money in selling records because everything was streamed. And guess what? Artist doesn't get any money from the streaming, or it's so ridiculously a little amount that it's not many years until there will be no more bands, because there will be any funding. Nobody can afford to go to the studio anymore. there won't be any record labels anymore. It's already started in a big way. So it was a downfall from that was the downside of it. I'm just glad that, well, I feel sad for the new artists that's coming out today, and who fuck knows what's going to happen. But I got my 40 years of touring, and so I'm just glad I'm there where I'm now, and not starting out now. But anyways, maybe that's maybe that's a drive too, because if it's impossible, like that's what we did. Like nobody liked us, and nobody liked black metal in the beginning of the 1980s. And that's why we choose it, because it was against everything, but we were gonna fucking succeed, And I think maybe there will be some people who look into this industry now and thinking, fuck them, we're gonna fucking succeed, despite of this shit,
Mm.
And then, of course, to have that extra drive to make it. So, but it shouldn't be like that,
Okay, so the reality for the band like Mayhem looks like that you're making money only on playing the tours, or how does it look these days?
That's the main part of the revenue, the live and the merchandising.
Mm.
The actual albums. Well, for a band like Mayhem, we didn't start yesterday, So I don't know how many albums you need to sell to recoup a production like we did, but it's, well, how would you compare it? If you live in Norway, for example, or if you live in Poland, it's the standard what the wages is. What is the average wage in your country? In Norway, the average wage here is about, I would say, probably around 40,000 euros a year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a musician and you release albums, you will need to make that kind of money to survive, because the rest of the society is adjust to that 4,000 euros a month or 3,000 euros a month. That would just disappear, in rent and in groceries and dental and insurance and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's always going to be that in the society. So we are not competing with the normal wages here in Norway. Far from it. We would could say, I wouldn't be even half, wouldn't be even 25% of the wages. And we only release albums every 4th, 5th year. So you can imagine how small amount of money it is. So you can't live from it at all. Even a band like Mayhem, we are 5 people also, so you have to divert it into 5 also. So it's on plus. So both record company and Mayhem makes money. So nobody loses anything, but it's not high revenue for albums.
Mm.
Also, is actually the best way to support your band is to buy merchandise on tour.
Yeah,
because that's the closest you can get to the band these days. Because otherwise, you go through the distribution company, or the record store, or the distribution company, the record company, the management fees, and all that stuff just eats up everything. And so when you're on tour, we have a merch seller, we have the production cost, and sometimes we have to pay tax to the country you're playing, and also the venue itself.
Mm-hmm.
For having their establishment, that we sell merchandise in their establishment. It could be between 10 and 35% in worst cases. And plus the what we call that VAT. So here in Norway, VAT is 28%, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's you would think that, by now we're walking around in wardrobes, sitting by this fucking swimming pool and fucking sipping cocktails, by now.
Yeah, the metal bands are, the metal genre, I would say, is one of these that, bands like yours probably are selling a lot of that merchandise items. People are just, loving these t-shirts with logos and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, the best way of supporting the band is to go for a concert and to buy the merchandise, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you that. Did you have the time in your life when you were really tired of playing metal at all?
No. I am listening to all kinds of music, and it changes. Sometimes I get a hook on a band, and I listen only to that for a long time, maybe a year or two. Could be different things. Could be all vintage bands, or other types of even other types of music. But when I plug in my guitar or get together with my fellow musicians, what comes out is this aggressive metal thing. It's like, even if I'm listening to Pink Floyd on the way there, or Beastie Boys, or some other fucked up CC Top or something, when I plug in my thing, that's what comes out. So I think it's compulsive too. It's like I can't. So even if I wanted to write any type of other music, it never came to me naturally. So yes, I never got bored of it. I guess no. Answer is definitely no.
Okay, sure. All right. What was that, in your opinion, that has made Mayhem so special on the black metal scene? And why do you think it was you guys who became, actually, I would say, the biggest black metal band?
Yeah. First of all, we were very early. Started in '84. First gig in '85, released our first demo in '86, our first record in '87, and was there in the underground scene, building up, and then we had this public suicide, and suddenly this public murder, also in the beginning of the '90s. We were already, into this dark kind of music, and people thought we were dealing with Satanism, because people were scared of it. They didn't know what it was, and we liked that. we liked that people had misunderstood the whole thing, and that we were dark and mysterious and shit. And so when this shit happens, like we're talking about death, all our lyrics is about death and shit, and then suddenly this shit happens. So I understand that the controversy of it. So being that kind of band, it kind of added to the dark and mysterious subculture that kind of started to grow. And since we are perfectionists and we are musicians, so it's always, we don't want to repeat ourselves, and we always want to be better at our things, and we like to get better equipment, all the time, and that's to perfectionize what you're doing. So we always released very high quality things. It was never any rushed stuff. We didn't have a record label pushing on us to release an album every year, like many bands do that. We release album when we are good damn fucking ready, and that sometimes take 5-7 years. So I think it's that we always delivered. We came from this spot in this dark side of music, and we perfectionized it over almost 40 years. And we still enjoy it and stuff. And I think, and so all the people who love music recognize these things, and they recognize it's true, the truthness about, like when people say that when they're listening to music and stuff, it hits them. This is the stuff with Mayhem, I think, that, and a lot of people tell me this, they get something from it. They see themselves, or there's something like in the music, which is bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why we're still here after all these years. We have a huge number of fans. Today we play 64 countries in the world. But there is still countries we haven't visited that has fans. And even enough fans with that could have brought us over, like, for example, Iceland, country slipped us, but I must tell you that, of course, the countries we haven't been to now is the least accessible countries on the other side of the world, and stuff like that. So, but 64 countries so far, and 99% of them are revisited on the next tour. And then we always add a couple of new countries just pop up, like, for example, now Hong Kong, we never played there. Korea, we never had played there. This is just what we did. India, Montenegro. This is just a few countries that we just added the last 2 years. And we're definitely going back there. So we just add new countries all the time. And I'll tell you a little funny story. So I saw on Facebook that the bass player of Marduk, I think it was the bass player, could be the guitarist, announced that he retired from Marduk after so many concerts, after 75 countries. And I thought to myself, 75 countries? Is that a little bit already, or maybe he was like putting a little bit fat, putting on a little bit. So I ended up in a van with them now in a festival in Romania 2 weeks ago, the Rockstad Festival. We had the same shuttle. to the festival. So I ended up having a shot with them, and we're talking about that, like the 75 countries. And turns out that was right. They had also, double checked that it was 75 countries. So, it kind of, I was thinking, like, what the fuck? So we can't give up now. And this is stupid to say, but, you never know. Maybe one of those 10 countries would be the best fucking venue, best fucking crowd for Mayhem ever.
Yeah.
We would know that without being there. Like, for example, take an example, we played in Indonesia for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
We were banned in Indonesia because of these political, religious idiots, fundamentalists. But then we got in the back way to a festival called Hammer Sonic. And it was us, Lamb of God, Vader, and a couple of local bands. They come up on stage there. There's 36,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? That was the first time we ever been there, too. 36,000 people. So I'm looking forward to that China will get their shit together. Because China is, like, put into an example, in America, when we release an album, we do 50 plus shows, 10 weeks of touring. We divide it into 2. We have 5 weeks in a nightliner going town to town, like 50 something gigs in US. US is 200 and something million people. Now, China has 1 point something billion people, and they have everything is new now, in fucking new cars, new buildings, everything is glass, steel and concrete. So these huge fucking towns, So imagine that you can, if this if these Chinese people get into this aggressive music, we can just start the fucking tour there that would never end. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're still the world is still opening for this kind of music. And I like the fact that we're there when it's now, we're still in the frontier. We're in the frontier in the 80s. We're still in the frontier in the 2000s and 20s. Still new markets open up and stuff. This is what makes me, that I like some of these countries. I like to come back and play. Good venues, good countries, good infrastructure. Like some, but but it's always the extra kick to go to somewhere we never played in. So when we do a tour, for example, and the booking agent gets in 1 or 2 of the new countries, that's my carrot, because I did all these other countries so many times. I do enjoy parts of it, but that's the thing, And since I'm, now it's more like, it's stupid to say, but I'm counting countries. I want to fucking conquer the world with this band. You know, and since we are almost running out of time, and I did another interview was scheduled for 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes, it quit.
It is.
I want to say something that I was, I was thinking about saying to one of your other questions, but that is, like how Mayhem developed and how, the bigger we, how big we got, in the sense that we are touring in 64 countries and we're playing all the bigger festivals. We play back in every 4th year, it seems. Or maybe most of the festivals go in this kind of circle. So I feel like every 4th year we're on the same festivals, which is good. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm looking forward to, and what I'm seeing every fucking year, is that when the fuck are these Iron Maidens and Saxons and Judas Priest and fucking Metallica and all this? When the fuck are they going to fucking go away so we can step up to the first on the fucking poster?
As
When
a
is this
headliner.
gonna fucking happen? You know, like I'm sick and tired of this shit now. Please let. I mean, now they promised us that it's gonna be the last tour with Kiss.
Yeah.
So let's just like let's hope that they, that other people when they're in their 70s get inspired and think, you know what, let's just quit before we are making fools of ourselves. Like that's a little from me to them. Like I will also quit when way before I will start to make a fool out of myself. That's for sure. That's a promise that I can give everybody. And also another promise is that that we're gonna continue, like as long as we can, obviously. But I had a good point here. Yeah, the point was that it's, of course, it's humoristic, and I love all these bands, Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and stuff.
Sure.
So it's kind of humoristic, but there is a sense of dark humor in it. Like every time we play it back in. But if you look at the poster, it's the same fucking bands.
Yeah, it is.
Last 30 years start to get ridiculous, in a sense.
Yeah, maybe it's time for the young bands to become, bigger than them.
Now I remember what to say, which is a nice way to finish this. Is that we will never announce that we are on our last tour if it wasn't true. So if we announce that we are going on the last tour, it will be the last tour, and not like the last tour and actually the last tour, and now we really mean it, the last tour, and we do it only one more time tour, and this is definitely the last tour, and and
Yeah, because it's
it's
a great promotional aspect that it's the
yes,
last,
yes,
the fifth last,
but
seventh last tour.
But who are you really fucking with? You're fucking with your fans in this sense. And I put you an example, Ministry, a band I always loved. And I still love some of the stuff. I still like some of the stuff he comes up with, Al Jørgensen. But when he came to Oslo here in some years ago, 20 years ago, the last tour he was ever going to do, I thought myself, okay, I will fucking go into Oslo and see this legendary fucking last show. And after when they just said, that was just bullshit. I mean, it did something to me. I got pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want that to be the last tour, and I saw Ministry many times after that too. But it pissed me off as a fan. And then I promised to myself that would never happen to us. We will never go out and tell the fans this, that this will be the last time. Definitely not. And to end it with a bang, we are 40-year anniversary next year. And we have a record deal with Century Media for 2 new albums. And we're working on a new album going to be released next year. And it's going to be subsequently a couple of more years touring. So we will be way into our 40s. So there is no point ending before we are, made the big 50, the 50-year anniversary. And then I could tell that, like from cradle to grave, that I started my own band when I was 16, and I finished it off when I was a senior citizen.
Great.
Because that would be the year after the 50-year anniversary.
Yeah.
For the pensioner, the 67-year-old. We are pensioners here in Norway. And of course, I mean, I would love to end it then, but you see all these people in their 70s, they're still rocking, even fucking in the 80s. The Rolling Stones guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think they might be recording the new album.
They are, and it's exciting that they have now teamed up with all the musicians, all the great songwriters, to write music with them. Also, taking in old members like the Mick Taylor and shit on new projects and stuff. So it's going to be exciting to see what they're going to come up with, these old fellows.
Sure. Thank you.
Keith Richards is, he hasn't changed a shit, since the 60s. Because he was so sure of himself all around at that time, or maybe not self-confident, sure, but when you look at it now, the guy didn't have to change. He didn't have to be somebody else or be a artist and then a private person, for example. He was just himself the whole time and got away with it. And then, that's why he's there today, because he's goddamn fucking honest musician. So big respects for him.
Okay. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation.
You're welcome.
And all the best for you, for the band, for releasing this live record, the next albums, touring,
Thank you.
more countries,
Thank you
more
very
and
much.
more. Thank you so much once again.
You are welcome, and we'll see you live in Poland.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.